So Sophie Castro was invited to do a fiction reading by her college professors, and at an event that was going to be in Hamden in Baltimore, which is an incredibly cool and hip area. And so we were fairly excited to go, but it's going to be on April 1st, April Fool's Day. And her professors informed her that it should be April Fool themed, and she hadn't written anything for or about April Fool's Day, so she had a week to come up with something. So we were excited to go, and we went expecting to go to a cool hip bar. We had dinner in Hamden, then we walked through the bright lights of Hamden and the cool vibe. We crossed the street. We went down a hill about 3 blocks until we got to a completely unlit area of the city and an alley with warehouses, and this is the experience that followed.
The town of Ethel, Ohio is just left of nowhere. It's a town with sprawling land, rolling hills, and fields with crops that alternate each year. There are the wheat crops that turn gold in the sun, the cornfields that kids use to play hide and seek in at night, and the soybean crops, which seem to serve no purpose except to look ugly. The people here are loud and opinionated, generational people with their family names printed on street signs. They live in houses far from one another, and still everybody knows everyone. They run into each other at First Communions, parent-teacher conferences, the post office. There's only one main street with one supermarket, a thrift shop, a gas station that doubles as a liquor store, and 2 inexplicable mattress warehouses, which the town's conspiracy theorists say are fronts for money laundering. There is a rhythm to this town. On Tuesdays, kids are dropped off at the community center where they learn ballet and basketball. Wednesdays, parents attend weekly town council meetings where they complain about the lack of sidewalks, the excess of potholes, the pride flag in the middle of the teacher's classroom. Thursdays, the thriving Amish community just south of Ethel comes and sets up a farmer's market where they sell jams and candles, baked goods, and fresh fruits. On Sundays, the town wakes up early. They shake their kids awake, have their morning coffee, put on whatever in their closet is cleanest, and leave for the 9:15 mass. The Smart families leave 10 minutes early, allotting for extra time in case they get stuck behind a combine or horse and buggy. At church, they laugh politely as Father Stoll throws jokes into his homily, and afterwards they gather in the vestibule to eat the complimentary donuts and have their second cup of coffee before going home and preparing to start the week over again. This Sunday, though, the town sleeps in. They ignore the bells of the 9:15 mass and let their kids watch cartoons on the living room couch. In an hour or so, they'll roll out of bed, curl their hair, shine their shoes, dig through their closet until they find their nicest outfit, and buzz as they talk about the wedding. But for now, they sleep, while a few miles away, Addison Ethel gets ready in a bridal suite of the church's basement. I'm gonna throw up. Addison bends over a waste bin while Charlotte, Charlie for short, holds back her already curled hair. You're not gonna throw up. I'm gonna throw up. You're not. Addison takes in a shaky breath and straightens, still regretting having invited so many people to the wedding. Okay, she turns back to Charlie. How do I look? Charlie steps back. She takes in the beads of sweat on Addison's forehead, the paleness in her cheeks. She winces, like you're about to throw up. Addison stares at her for a moment, her blue eyes wide and terrified, and then she laughs. You're a bad maid of honor. Yeah, well, Charlie pulls a bobby pin from her back pocket and pins a loose strand of hair behind Addison's ear. At least I'm a good hairdresser. Thank God for that. Addison sits back in front of the vanity. In another half an hour, the makeup artist will come. She'll cover Addison's freckles and add a false blush to her pale cheeks. But for now, it's just Addison and Charlie. You know we could leave if you want. I'll drive the getaway car. Addison laughs. It is April Fool's. She and Tommy had chosen April 1st because it was the day they met. Her car had broken down on the side of the road and Tommy gave her a ride. It was the first warm day of spring and the dogwood blossoms were just starting to bloom. Sometimes Tommy tells Addison that he fell in love with her during that first car ride. And so when it came time to choose a date, they chose April 1st. But ever since, they'd both had to endure the jokes about whether or not the wedding was going to just be one big prank. Charlie shakes her head. I'm serious though. We could still go to New York or Chicago. It was a plan they'd had since they were girls. They had saved coins in coffee jars and plotted escape plans under covers. They were going to move to a tiny apartment, ride the subway, and work in a coffee shop. They were going to leave this place. Addison smiles, teasing. My students would be devastated. She had started teaching at the elementary school 2 years ago and now has both class photos framed and student artwork hung on her refrigerator. When her students found out she was engaged, they taped 10 pieces of printer paper together to make a banner that misspelled congratulations. Charlie shakes her head. But wouldn't they love the gossip though? Addison laughs. I don't think Tommy would be very happy about it either. Charlie looks away. She can't remember exactly when she'd stopped liking Tommy. Whether it was the day he told her Nickelback was his favorite band, or that she found out she was prom king at his high school. Or maybe, if she was honest, she didn't hate him at all. He was kind and occasionally funny, but he was also normal, a normal person who wanted to put down roots and start a family. And Addison deserved more than normal. Addison, who's terrified of sharks but loves the ocean, who crowds her apartment with plants but can't seem to keep any alive. Addison, who's passionate and stubborn, who once punched a boy for making Charlie cry. Addison, who is special, who deserves to be known by more than just the 300 people who live in Ethel. Yeah, Charlie trails off. He wouldn't be. There is a silence between them, and in it, Charlie contemplates telling Addison that she's leaving, that she got a job in New York, and that she's finally going to a place larger than this, where people paint art on buildings and sing in the streets, where they're able to be whoever they need to, a place where she may finally be able to breathe. But before she can open her mouth, Addison is shifting in her seat, finally indulging in Charlie's fantasy. We could go to France, she says, hop on a cargo ship and never come back. Charlie smiles. They talk about you for years. We could live in a province, eat croissants. They laugh, both imagining a future that they'll never have, that only one of them really wants. Behind them, the makeup artist knocks on the door and they look at each other. Addison smiles. This afternoon, she'll stand at the altar and marry a man she loves. The jokes about the wedding being a prank will stop, and tomorrow she'll leave for her honeymoon in Cape Cod. Charlie raises the corners of her mouth. This afternoon, she'll watch from a distance as Addison starts a life separate from her. And next week, she'll leave to start a life of her own. Last chance to run, Charlie tells her. Addison laughs again, her smile wide and excited. There's always divorce, she jokes. The makeup artist enters the room and Charlie leaves, making sure not to look back as the door swings shut behind her.